Hi, I'm Apollonia. You may remember me from Purple Rain as leading lady to Prince, or from my band Apollonia 6. I've starred in films, TV shows, and I've been on the cover of magazines all over the world, including Playboy. I was also an LA Rams cheerleader. I'm going to take you with me. Welcome to my podcast, Apollonia Studio 6. Hi, I'm Apollonia, and welcome to my podcast, Apollonia Studio 6. And to my right is my wonderful co-host, Mr. Seth. What is happening today, Mr. Seth?
What is happening today is the thing that all of you have wanted to happen since Apollonia Studio 6 first launched. This is the reunion of Apollonia 6. And our guest, Miss Susan Moonsey.
Hello.
Miss Brenda Bennett.
Yes. My sisters are here today. Can you believe that?
Nope.
This is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for coming out to LA.
Thanks for having us.
I'm in shock. So I just wanted to start out by saying how grateful I am that they're here, and Seth, and I promised I wouldn't cry anymore. But I had no idea. I had no idea they were showing up. We had another guest listed, and I was very excited. Of course, I'm excited. All of our guests are incredible. And you played me. You surprised me.
I played you lovingly.
Unbelievable. And a while ago.
Yes.
Yes, I had no idea.
This was a group effort.
Even your staff played you.
My staff. I had no idea. And I know that Seth had something planned, and, the guest, and then tomorrow was another day. We're going to, do some fun stuff. And we were doing some pickup shots a little while ago and talking about merchandise. And then the door, someone was knocking on the door here in the studio. It was Brenda Bennett. And you'll see the video, because we're going to put it into the show, of my face. It was just like a...
Stupefied.
I couldn't believe it. I just stared at her, and I was just like...
Is that really somebody?
And then, I start, of course, crying, and then the door, someone knocks again, and it's little Susan. And I start crying again. And it's just, I'm an absolute in shock. I'm delighted. I'm honored that you would make this trip from where you live, cross country, to come to the show. This is your show, because if it weren't for you ladies, I wouldn't be here today, So I'm just so happy. This is so incredible. Thank you,
We've been
Mr.
working
Seth.
on this since last summer.
Duh! Who knew, right? Just a ball of tears.
I know, have us all crying.
Yeah, just, wow. Thank
No more
you.
crying. No more crying.
Thank
Please.
you.
You're welcome.
Can't wait till later. Let's go out and have some fun.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to do some fun stuff tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very, it feels sort of surrealistic for me. It's been a long time since we were back here in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a very long time since we've done an interview together. So it's very sweet.
When was the last time we did, let's say, press, an interview?
As Apollonia 6 was probably Purple Rain.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it. When we did the
83,
tour.
84.
Yeah, when we did
We traveled the world.
Yeah, I mean, you did some things afterwards on your own, and I certainly went off and did music things of my own, and there was always the conjoining coming back, going around the circles and coming back. But as Apollonia 6, it's been since Purple Rain.
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm going to take, once I wipe my tears, I'm going to take control of this interview. You're going to be, I know you'll have some questions, but you're going to be a guest today. Okay?
Yay!
Yeah,
So-
you move over this way because you're a guest today.
I'm excited. This is just surreal.
So, of course, you are my sisters, and I love you. But back when I was a youngin', I was a fan.
Yes.
So I'm gonna try to ask the at least most of the burning questions that fans may have.
Okay, from a fan standpoint.
From a fan standpoint, but
Okay.
lovingly from a friend standpoint as
Okay.
well.
sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to start with the first member that came into this circle, Miss Susan. So you met Prince when you were in high school. Was he already a recording artist at that time?
Yes, he had already done his first album when I
Okay.
met him.
Okay.
He just released it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was it on Warner Brothers?
Yes.
Yeah, it was For You, the For You album, right?
Yes.
With the afro. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Oh,
It's
that
funny.
one.
There's a long story with that, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to save that for another time.
Okay.
For part 2.
Okay. So when did he approach you about a girl group?
Actually, I was 15 when I first met him. Yes. And I met him with my 3 sisters. And that very night he said, "Oh, there goes my girl group."
Wow.
But of course, my father's a teacher, and we're not anywhere thinking of being in the entertainment business. So we're like, "Oh yeah, that's a nice joke." Like, we all laughed about it, because that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
But anyways, my 2 elder sisters moved on and went back to Trinidad, where I'm from. And my sister Lorene and I stayed back as we were supposed to be in school. I was in high school. She was in university.
Okay.
And we stayed friends, him
Yeah.
and I and her, and we
Yeah.
were like a trio all over the place. You know what I mean? Everywhere we went was 3 of us.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. He would always talk about this still, with her and I, and we would always like laugh about it. It was like nothing that we were never.
You didn't take him seriously?
No, we never took him seriously. It was a joke. It was like, so fine. And then finally one day he goes, "Okay, are you guys ready to do this group?" And we looked at each other like, "Are you serious?"
Can you imagine?
He goes, "What do you mean? I've always been serious."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we go, "Oh, yeah, sure, we'll try it. But just for fun, right?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah, okay, just for fun." Then Jamie Shoup was his manager as well.
Right.
And
Okay.
he said to Jamie, "Hey, you're going to be part of this too?" She goes, "Oh, yeah, what do you mean?" And she was serious, but we weren't serious. But Prince and her were serious, And he goes, "Okay, we're doing this." So we went shopping, bought the lingerie, did all that, did photo shoots and all that recorded. Jamie did get a deal with Warner Brothers, which I didn't know until recently.
Whoa.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were called the Hookers.
Yeah.
Okay, now we really thought it was a joke. See, like we didn't take that serious. but-
Right.
So all this we thought
Prince
was just
is
like,
dead serious
Right.
about it.
yeah, he's dead serious, and we're still like having fun, and because also he used to do home videos. We used to do videos with him, movies. So
Yeah.
the Purple Rain thing is not like, I wasn't surprised about that. This was
Yeah.
something he was always planning to do
Yeah.
a movie, but it was just like this. He'd set up the camera and we'd all do a thing. I'm not going to give it away,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
this is something we would play with as well. So, the Hookers came along and then we did the photo shoot. Jamie said they shopped it and she got a deal. And I'm like, next thing you know, he's like, "Okay, I think we better look for another lead, right?" And I said, "You mean like a lead singer? You're really getting a lead?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay."
So
And
let me ask you a question really fast, though. How did you feel when he said, "Okay, I want you to dress in lingerie and we're going to call the group the Hookers"?
Well, we sat down and we talked about it. So it was like I said, it was for fun. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like, I think we're going to go out there and be the hookers.
Yeah.
We were just having fun.
Yeah.
Just like doing the movies and
Yeah.
the videos at home. And
Yeah.
then he goes, "No, I'm serious." And then we go, "Okay, in lingerie."
Whoa.
My father's a teacher.
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah, I know." I said, "Yeah, but me?" He goes, "Yeah, what do you think?" I said, "Okay, once it's decent and, we're not doing anything crazy." Well, we were trying to make a statement.
Yeah.
So I said, "Yes, not a problem. That's fine. We'll work with it." And from then it kept going, and turned into Vanity. Well, he met Vanity and he got her and we started moving on, got Brenda.
So let me ask you, do you remember the first thing you recorded as when you were the Hookers? What was the first song you remember recording before Brenda and Vanity came?
We had done a song called "I Need a Man."
Okay.
And that was the first song we recorded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, moving on to Miss Brenda. Did you come... You were part of the group before Denise came in, before Vanity came in, or was it?
It was kind of around the same time.
Okay.
I was actually working for Prince. I was married to Roy Bennett, and I was on the Controversy tour. I had met Prince in December of 1980 when Roy was first working with him, and Roy had me come down to New York City. They were playing. They were doing a show there, and so I took the train down, and I kind of told this story in Minneapolis after Prince had passed, and I met him December 9th, and I remember that date so specifically because John Lennon was shot the night before in New York. John Lennon had been one of my musical icons. We had heard all the sirens because where we were staying wasn't that far from the Dakota.
Oh, wow.
We had heard all the sirens, and at first we didn't think too much about it because it's New York City, always sirens going on, but it seemed to be kind of more than we expected. But the next day, when we were getting ready to go over to the venue to meet Prince and for sound check and one thing or another, we're in the elevator and stops on one of the floors, and some of the crew came in, and they're saying, "Hey, did you hear what happened last night?" And we said, "No. We heard some sirens, but we didn't think much of it being in New York." And they said, "John Lennon got shot." And my stomach just fell. And I immediately just and asked if, well, how is he? Is he okay? And they said, "No, he's dead. He died." And oh my God, I couldn't believe that I'm on my way to meet Prince for the first time, and I find this out about one of my icons.
Yeah.
And also never knowing what was going to happen with my life after having met Prince.
Yeah.
So I met him, saw listened to the sound check, and saw the show that night. And Roy was absolutely right when he had said to me, "I think this guy's going to do really big things. He's going to go far. He's really incredible. He's so unique, and he's really going to do something." So the next, and I had to agree. I really did. Coming from a music standpoint, I thought he is going to do something.
Because you had a music background, right? You had a singing background.
I did.
Yes.
I came from a musical family. It wasn't a professional musical family. It was more we were poor, and that was entertainment. My family, my parents played played instruments. Just about everybody in my family played an instrument. And I grew up on the weekends, going to different people's homes of friends of my parents, where there'd be some kind of jam session going on. It'd be a room like this filled with like 15, 20 people. A lot of guitars. There was a lot of guitars because my parents were country musicians. And so that's kind of what I grew up with. My mother was more diverse, and she introduced us to other genres of things. But and I started actually not even looking for it. Musical career in 1973.
Wow.
With a band called Ken Lyon and the Tombstone Blues Band. I was invited to join them as a backup singer. And I had just come back from a backpacking trip, a 3-month backpacking trip in Europe. And some of the stories I could tell you from that trip, that would be part 2. But when I got back to the United States, I had no job, no place to live. And I had 1 American dime in my pocket.
Wow.
And I was home. My mother and my father were just, come home. And they didn't want me to go at the time, but they, I did. But, and I was offered, a friend of mine that I knew that sang with this group that I used to go listen to a lot, had offered me to come in for background vocals. And after, the position I was in, and after some of the experiences I had in Europe, I felt like I could face anything. So I accepted it. And yes, the first tour that we did, we had a contract with CBS Records.
Wow.
And the first tour that we did with that album was with Martha Hoople and Queen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're on your way to meet this guy, Prince.
Yes.
All right. How did that go? I know it was.
Kind of got sidetracked. But
It's just this is a lot of miles back there. My first impression,
Yes.
is that what you're asking?
Yes.
My first impression of him was, my goodness, you're short.
bad foot to start.
I didn't say that to him, but I remember that was, where all of a sudden he come right up to me, and he was this far away from me, and those gorgeous eyes of his. That was the first thing was, oh my God, you got beautiful eyes. But the other thing was that, oh my God, we're eye to eye, and we're standing, in front of each other. He had his heeled boots on kind of thing, but still. And he was a little on the shy side, but he was just very kind of, hi, nice to meet you. And you going to watch the show? Didn't really have very much time to talk about stuff because he was really kind of busy and bouncing around and getting ready to do the sound check and all that sort of thing. And I said, yes, I'm looking forward to it. I've heard a lot of good things. And Roy was in the room, if I remember, and because I believe he looked over at Roy like, that look he can give you sometimes, like, okay, what have you been saying about me? But I said, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the show. And I was very impressed because I hadn't heard any of his music previous to that show.
Okay.
And jumping forward a little bit, the next album come out, Controversy.
Yeah.
And Roy had wanted me to come on the road with him. And I said, Roy, I can't come out and be on the road and travel in the crew bus with you unless I got a job. You know what that's like.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I know. We'll find something. We'll do something. Yeah. And just like every other red-blooded American woman, I like to shop, but I can't shop every day. I got to be doing something.
Yeah.
And I wound up with, 4 jobs.
Wow.
One of which was videotaping his show every night.
Okay.
For his, so he could critique his show and see what worked, what didn't work, what he could change, what he could make better, and things like that. And it was during that tour, we had a break at Christmas time, came back together out in the Midwest somewhere at a university, and one of the other jobs I had was taking care of his wardrobe, making sure things were clean, setting things up every night, just whatever it was he needed in that respect. And he come in, I had set everything out, and he came in, sat down at the table where his hair stuff was, had a little boombox on the table, sits down and puts a tape in, a cassette tape, because we didn't have CDs then. It wasn't CD time yet. It wasn't even cell phone time yet.
No.
But, and starts playing some rough recording of Stand Back by Stevie Nicks.
Wow.
And I recognized her voice right off the bat. And when you sing, and I had been singing most all of my life, you just sing. It doesn't take you very long to pick up stuff, And I started singing along. Once I got the stand back part of it, I was kind of singing along, and because while I was doing my other stuff in the room, not knowing that he was hand in the air with a curling iron,
Listening to you.
and looking at me in the mirror, and I was like, okay, yes, and listening. And he says to me, just turned around and he pointed to me, said, "You could be the other hooker."
Damn! Can you imagine? Wow!
Somebody calls you a hooker.
And I just stopped dead in my tracks and I looked at him and I said, yeah.
Oh man!
And I turned around and I'm doing something with his shoes or whatnot, and I'm just saying, hooker. And I said, that ain't right. That's not right. And I said, where is this going to go?
Wow!
And he said, I'm serious. I'm not kidding. And Roy had mentioned to me that he had a lot of ideas, that he wanted to work on a lot of different things. And one thing, he had ideas about a girls group kind of thing. And Roy had been a fan of mine as a vocalist for a very, very long time. Roy and I had known each other quite a long time before we were even married.
Yeah.
And he was a big fan. He used to come and listen to me. And he wanted to. I wasn't doing anything musically at the time, and he wanted very much to see me get back into the fold somehow. So he really didn't. He didn't push anything. He just kind of dropped a few little bombs here and there, few little hints and stuff, and I just. But when Prince says you could be the other hooker, I had no idea that's what he was talking about.
He already had one hooker.
Wow.
So he said. He when he told me he was serious, he gave me a little, and I said, "Okay, well, what are you actually talking about?" And he gave me some information, and I said, "All right, can I think about that?" And he said, "Yeah," and I said, "I am married, so I have somebody else to consider here." And he said, "That's all right," and then all of a sudden, Chick comes in the room.
Oh.
Big chick. And Prince says to him, "What do you think? She could be the other hooker in the band, the other singer in the band kind of thing." And I'll never forget, I can still hear the sound of Chick's voice turn around looking at me and going, "She's sure pretty enough." You know, and I just says, "Well, thank you."
I can hear that. I can hear him.
You know, he was such a larger than life guy.
Yeah.
And then Roy came in the room. To ask some questions or talk to Prince about something to do with the show, the lights that night. And Prince brought it up to him, and Roy turned around, looked at me, and said, "Well, she'd be a damn fool if she didn't do it." You know, and so I kind of looked at Prince, and so I'll take that as a yes. That's okay with him.
You got your approval.
Yeah. And that's kind of where it started. And Susan came out on that tour, and that's when I met. You were 16?
Yeah, 16, 17, yeah.
Yeah. Susan, that's when I met her. And I saw this little girl walking down the hallway with hair down to here. Beautiful. And I just, who's that? And Roy was very kind of, "That's Susan." And so I met her. And that's where it started there. And Vanity, I think, came around that same tour, wasn't it?
She came in...
He asked me in
She came in
February.
in 82, early 82, and we released in summer 82.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was before, because I think, was it the Grammys that they met?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Grammys, yeah.
He went off we were on tour with a Controversy tour.
Yeah.
And I think he had gone to the Grammys, and he was there with Stephen Fargnoli, one of the managers, and she was Rick James's date.
I think so, right?
Yeah. At the Grammys.
That's what
Yeah,
I've
at the
heard.
Grammys.
I
Yeah.
think no, she went with her agent
Was there
to the Grammys.
I've heard
yeah.
both stories.
Yeah, so
heard
I don't know. She
agent
told
and
me
I
her
heard
agent,
Rick
so I don't know.
James.
Right.
Maybe Rick was checking her that night too.
Yeah, probably, because I
You know?
remember Vanity having said something to the effect that she came by the table or something, and Prince turned to Stephen and said, "Isn't that somebody I should know?"
That is
That is so good, of course.
I can hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and next thing I knew, I'm buzzing around backstage doing one of my jobs or the other, and I was in, Susan was in, and there was this other gorgeous woman shows up, and I'm just like, who is this? Where did she come from? And I almost wanted to say, she kind of didn't seem like she knew anybody. So I didn't know if she was a fan that got backstage and was looking for Prince, and somebody came by from the tour office group. And I kind of pointed her out and said, "Is she looking for somebody?" And they said, "Oh, no, she's with Prince." And I went, "Oh, okay." And found out that next thing
She
I
was
know,
the next one.
she was going to be the lead singer of this setup.
He had called me that night in the Grammys and said, I met the lead. I said, what lead? He goes, remember the girls group? I was looking for a lead. I met her tonight at the Grammys. He told me the whole story, and I'm like, okay. He goes, you're gonna like her. She looks just like you guys.
Wow.
I said, okay, great.
What were your first thoughts when you first met Denise?
Oh, that's another long story. No, beautiful. First of all, she was very pleasant. She was lovely. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had really,
Comfortable immediately. We got along. Yeah. Yeah.
all three of us. Our birthdays were in January.
I know you're
Yeah.
all
I
January.
couldn't believe
girls,
that.
January
Yeah,
girls.
that
Yeah.
happened.
That's true.
Happy birthday to this one.
Yeah.
Today.
Today.
birthday.
Thank
Yours
you.
was 2 days
Yeah,
ago.
mine
Yeah,
was on
happy
Thursday.
birthday.
Yeah.
Yes.
But and hers was the 4th.
Yeah.
4th of January. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which never realized that until after we'd been working together for a little while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Prince started bringing songs like Nasty Girl and Wet Dream and Girl Answers Don't Hang Up and Drive Me Wild? And what were your thoughts like, especially Nasty Girl was a little, at that time, considered a little explicit. What were your thoughts like? You want us to sing about
What?
7 inches? And
Well, remember the hookers?
yes.
That's true.
Yeah, so I would be around then when he would be making all this stuff, all this music, and never heard the lyrics.
Okay.
He never let me hear the lyrics. Even when I did Drive Me Wild and I recorded that was the very first time I ever saw the lyrics.
Wow.
And I just did it in one take, and he goes, "That's it." And I'm like, so I've never recorded and stuff before, so I'm like, "What do you mean? I mean, like, it's got to sound really good." He goes, "Oh, it did. That's it." So I was like, and I'm looking at these lyrics. I'm like, where did you get these from? You know, I mean, did I? Okay, all right.
man.
He goes, "You're done." I'm like, what? Is that it? Yeah, I never saw the lyrics to any of the music. I heard the music, didn't get to see the lyrics.
That's a great
Wow.
story.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Do either one of you remember when the name changed from the Hookers to Vanity 6 and how that happened?
Well, I have a little bit of a, I don't know.
Yeah, Denise didn't want to be called. Well, when we talked about it, it was like the hookers was a little too much.
Yeah.
and
And he wanted to name her.
yeah, he wanted
Vagina,
to name her Vagina,
yeah.
and she said no, and then it went from Vagina to Vanity, and I think that's how it ended up, Vanity 6.
Which was kind of much, it seemed more natural.
Yeah,
Because it was, she had had a modeling career up to that point, and she'd been doing some acting. She'd done a few movies and liked doing that, and she had a pretty lucrative modeling career. So the thing with Vanity, the beauty, the modeling, you know, it all seemed like to kind of go together. And I think we were all getting a little bit concerned. You asked about, you know, the lyrics kind of stuff. Nasty Girl was the first song that we did.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Because when I showed up on Kiowa at his house, he had already been in the studio working on that. And she had done some of the lyrics, you know, for the lead. We hadn't really started doing some of the background vocals yet.
Yeah.
And when I heard it, I went. I mean, I'm not a prude by any means. But when I heard it, I went, "Are we going to be able to get away with this?"
yeah, we would.
You know, you know, and because at that time it was just, you know, there was a lot of stuff that went on in the '60s and '70s with the free love and, you know, burn the bra and, you know, all kinds of things. But when you were just getting explicit down into something like this for the general public, it really was kind of controversial.
Yeah, and it actually goes into my next question was there a fear from anybody about the sexual image of the group, the lingerie, and was there any fear, or was it kind of fearless? You just got to just
No, it was
do
fearless for me because it was like we're making a statement here. We're women, and even though we wear lingerie, we still need to be taken seriously. You know, so I mean, that's how it is anyways. Whether I have clothes on or not, I'm going to tell you how it is going to be.
That's
you know,
right.
this is it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said, "This is it. We're going to put lingerie on, but we're going to be us, right? We're going to say what we have to say."
Yeah.
He said, "Women feel a certain way at a certain age, and we're going to sing about it." I said, okay.
Yeah, I was, me being the older one, I did have some concern that it wasn't so much about us, that I was going to have to do this. There's a part of me that, felt, well, maybe some things should stay behind closed doors. But on the other end of that spectrum, to take this and be bold and to say, sex sells. And that was one of the things that we talked about in early interviews with Vanity 6. Sex sells no matter what. You look at a commercial you watch television, and 3 out of 5 commercials were going to have something a product that was being sold that was using a beautiful woman, or there was some kind of a sex appeal that was being used to help sell the product. So I mean, it's why keep it a secret. Or why not talk about it? There were groups of people out there that would just, like, you're gonna go burn in hell for what for what you're doing. But we took it by the horns, and we were bold about it, and just said, this is it. This is matter of fact.
Yeah.
Our
No, I always said, well, okay, I got lingerie on. What about the people on the beach that hardly have anything on? So now, try and fight that with me, because you're not going to win.
Yeah.
People were less on the beach.
That's the conversation I had with my mother, because she went crazy when I had to do this, and I'm like, okay, well, you live in an island and you go to the beach and they're half naked.
Right.
And they're fine with that, but I'm on stage and I'm doing a job.
Right.
I'm trying to make a statement. So what are you going to argue with me? I mean, I'm not doing this. I'm not going out there and sitting on the street trying to make some money.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm working.
Yeah.
So
Then she
young,
started to look at it a different way, and I'm like, oh, okay.
so young and so damn logical.
Yeah, I'm a fighter. I'm sorry.
she's an old soul.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you remember the first Vanity 6 show? Like when you guys were doing the clubs?
Yeah, we did.
We did that small
you
little
remember what it
club
was
just
called?
outside of Minneapolis as a test.
Yeah.
It was with the Time. The
Yeah.
Time did a few songs, and we did a few songs just to see what kind of reaction. And I'll be darned if I can remember. I can remember kind of the building, driving up to it, thinking, we're going to play there? Is anybody coming? And we were, so it was just, okay, this is great, because we're going to be able to test this out, and see what kind of initial reaction that's going to happen. And I think that was the first one.
Yep.
And then before the tour, we did that college
Yep.
where I gave you and Vanity a shot of brandy before the show,
Really warm up, getting
because Vanity was bouncing off the walls.
This was like the real thing now.
Oh, she was so nervous. She was so nervous. She was ready. She felt she had everything, remembering the lyrics and, how do I look, and got this down and got that down. She was like a flea on a hot skillet. And this one, I always know when Susan's a little on the nervous side. She's quiet. She don't say nothing. She just sort of... and I had a small bottle of brandy. And
Nice.
Susan got a little nervous, I think, at first, because it's like, I can't drink before we go on stage. What are you, crazy? And I said, no, we're just going to do one shot. And I went into this spiel about how brandy physiologically, will help to calm you down, and it just opens everything, all your arteries up, and, gets things flowing and circulating and all this stuff. And Susan said, okay, I'll have some.
Okay, give it to me. Just give it to us.
Vanity had no problem. She winged that back, and we did well. We did really well. It was really, I remember the stage being dark green for some reason. Painted, the floor was painted dark green, something like this. It wasn't that big of a stage.
Okay.
But the audience was just like, what is,
Yeah.
whoa.
They must have went
They
crazy.
did. They went crazy. Yes.
Yeah, it was really well received.
Yeah.
Who did your choreography?
We did.
You did your own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
That's
sick
great.
too, right?
Kind of hard to move around in lingerie and try to make it look decent. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
So we can only do certain moves.
Yeah,
Couldn't do
that's-
much moves. I mean, the girls today wear not. I mean, you see what they wear, and
Yeah.
they move like they're crazy. I'm
Yeah.
like, why didn't we move like that? But then we would just like be all out there. It's like,
So I'm going to ask this question. Whose idea? Was it Vanity's idea, the hump on the microphone? That's so like a legendary
yes,
part
that's
of the
her.
show.
That was her.
That was her. She was. I mean, however we performed, and we had we did have obviously choreography that was worked out, specific steps for specific times in the songs, like when we did Blue Limousine, we did Sex
Yeah.
Shooter kind of thing. We had specific things that we did, but in between those times, you know, and when she was doing her lead vocals, she just, you know,
Do her own thing.
did her own thing, just like you did when you did makeup or
Yep.
Drive Me Wild.
Yeah.
So it was there's no controlling.
She took charge.
She took charge, and
That
she
Capricorn.
and she did. Yeah,
Plus being an actor too,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
doing commercials
Yeah.
and movies. So she was.
She got into the character.
Well, she got into the
role.
character, correct. But also, it was, she had somebody to feed from by working with Prince.
Yeah.
You know, and it was part of our whole family.
Yeah.
That was starting at that time. You know, with the time and Prince and the Revolution and us, and then how we wound up morphing into Apollonia 6 and.
So was Prince the one that kind of assigned the characters of the group for Vanity 6?
Yes and no. I think we were all basically these characters, and
Okay.
he just emphasized them more as this is what we're gonna. Brenda is gonna be this.
Punk.
That she was.
That's because, well, he and I, you were asking, you know, rewinding here for a second, he had asked about, you know, our feelings about this lingerie and,
Yeah.
and the explicit lyrics and things like this. There was things that he wanted me to wear that I just was not up to wearing yet.
Really?
So
like
we,
Yeah, I was gonna say like what?
real see-through stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was not willing to do that. So we had some words. There were times that there was, you know, we kind of bashed heads a little bit about things. And one day he just got so frustrated and he looked at me and said, "You know what? You're a punk. That's what you're gonna be. You're gonna be the punk." You know,
Brenda's like, yes, I am.
and I was like, well, you know, you're telling us on one side of the coin to stand up and be bold, and then now you're telling this me. But sometimes the arguments were a little crazy, but I was willing to compromise. But that was the thing with him is, you know, we had to find that spot where we could fit in that compromising. You know, where I was willing to do, okay, I'll certainly want to be a part of this. Certainly want to help you and your blueprint.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I have to draw a line somewhere, and so I had the leather jacket. I did the hair. I was already a smoker at the time, and he said, "That's your image. You're going to be the punk." And I grew up a tomboy in between two brothers, so I knew how to feed on that, you know, how to pull from that, and did my part.
I have an interesting question that's kind of off kilter, but a fan question. Did you take the pictures for the first album in Prince's house?
We did.
Yes, we did.
Really?
Did, yeah. Kiowa.
Yep.
Wow.
In that little bedroom.
Yeah.
That little
And the
bedroom.
poster,
bedroom.
that poster.
Yes.
Yep,
was
that was done.
inside.
Yeah.
Do you know how much that album with that poster intact sells for now?
It's like,
Hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Oh, really?
Really?
Because I guess the poster was just a limited edition.
it was only in the first 150 albums or something like that.
Well, it's like if you can find the Vanity 6 album with the poster, it's you're paying probably about $500 for it.
Wow.
Just
That
'cause it has
hasn't
the
been
poster
played.
in
That's
it.
still sealed.
Yeah, no.
No?
Just because it has the poster in
Ah,
it.
Wow.
Yeah, just for the poster.
Wow.
I got one of them.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1999 tour. How did I know that the show itself changed because I have the video from when you guys did the club in Detroit, the 20 grand.
Oh, okay.
And like the show had became different. Like Wet Dream had been added, but it was like a really funky version of Wet Dream, and
You know how we
makeup
like
had
to
been
play
added.
things up differently.
Yeah, we didn't do everything the same all the time.
Yeah.
He would like us to change things up.
Yeah.
You know.
How was that experience? I know it was grueling, or was it grueling
To do that?
to do the 1999 tour?
We almost didn't do that tour.
What do you mean?
Well, it was, we almost weren't able to start because she got stuck in London. We had done, we'd gone out with Morris and done a promotional tour for the Morris for the Time album
And ours.
us, for the Vanity 6 album around the States. And then we did a promo tour in Europe. And it was when we were getting ready to come back. It was a passport problem with
My
Susan.
visa expired
No.
the day before, or 2 days before we're supposed to perform, and
And she was under 18.
yeah. No, I was 18.
Were you 18?
Yeah, I was 18, and I had to go to Trinidad to get this visa in order to come back to the United States to start working again.
So
we
from
were-
London, you went to Trinidad.
Yes, I had to leave with Jamie Shoup. We went straight to Trinidad to get back. Was it North Carolina? Was our first day?
Yeah, I think
to
so.
get back to
Because we were
North
supposed to
Carolina
come back
to do the video,
and to do a video for Nasty Girl.
but we
And
didn't.
we weren't able to do that because
Yeah.
we were separated. And that's why any video that you see of us doing Nasty Girl, that was from the television show that we
Yeah,
did
in Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam.
The
With
dresses.
the
Yeah,
dresses.
Yeah,
that
and
was
then
a
it turns into
television
the
show.
lingerie thing.
Oh, that was a
halfway
TV
through, yeah.
show.
TV show
That
that we
was
had
a-
to use.
I always
Yeah.
thought that was like the official video. That
No,
was a TV show.
no.
That was what we
What they had, what you
worked out
had.
to use,
Yeah.
because we didn't have time to do a video before
Wow.
the tour. Yeah, that was it was scary because we didn't know if we were going to wind up having to meet up with the tour, if we were going to be able to start right at the beginning because it was being advertised.
Yeah,
all the
triple
promotional
threat.
stuff
Had already
was for the
set,
three of
yeah.
us,
Yep.
and that was what did they call it? The triple
The
threat
triple
tour.
threat tour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
Man, I have to say, my cheeks hurt from smiling. They hurt. They do. I'm like sitting here. I'm like, my cheeks hurt. I'm like,
And
Your
I
turn
thought-
is coming.
I thought of every question.
I don't even want to say anything. I'm like mesmerized here.
I thought of every question that I could
Good.
that I've ever wanted to ask.
I'm loving this. This is awesome.
So, by the 1999 tour, like Vanity 6 was pretty big. Nasty Girl was a hit.
That was
You
huge.
guys were doing.
That was like here in West Hollywood.
Actually, that wasn't the first single that was
No,
released.
He's So Dull was the first.
He's
single.
So Dull was the
Yeah,
first.
Nasty Girl was the hit.
Huge
Yes,
out
that was a
everywhere.
big
Yeah.
hit.
All the clubs here in WeHo. I remember being at Rage, and the song came on, and I got up to dance. It was Jose Ibert, and he was dancing with his hair all
Jose.
long and his cowboy hat. He goes, "I'm a nasty girl. I'm a nasty girl," with his accent right. And I remember I was dancing, and I was like, "Who is that fool over there?" I was here by myself dancing. Nasty girl, and I was like, I'm a nasty girl. Yes. Had no clue.
So two
It's kind of
things.
like my story with Prince, never realizing.
Yeah.
And here you are dancing,
Yeah.
grooving on
Yeah.
Nasty Girl, never
Yeah.
realizing. that-
Jose Bear was like, shut up, sir.
So I think that was probably when things may have started getting a little weebly wobbly with the group a little bit. Maybe Roy said when he was here that as the group got more popular, some egos started to come into play. Do you believe that's true with the group?
I think it was probably for all of us because it's kind of hard to understand if you're not in it.
Yeah.
You know, when we were taken from, you know, even though I had a musical background, there was other people in the organization that didn't.
Yeah.
And we were all working really hard. I mentioned the blueprint, Prince's blueprint, and that's the way I've always looked at it. Is he had a blueprint of what he wanted to do with his career, and this family that he was building, that became the Purple family, and we were all working hard. He had us, and we were working hard for him and his dream, his ideas, and when you're in the thick of that, you're just doing the next thing. You're trying to perfect what it is in front of you, whether it's an instrument you're playing, whether it's a song you're working on for him, with him, whether it's a physical kind of image that we were working on that. Even though we had the lingerie, we still had things to tweak, things to perfect, and that is so much work.
Yeah.
That goes into all of that.
Yeah.
And then when the popularity begins, that puts you into another level of responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, you're responsible to that audience.
Yeah.
Because you're doing this. You know, the time that I had spoke with Prince about Prince with the audience at First Avenue, and I gave my story of when I first met him. One of the last things I said was, you have to always remember when you think of him that what he did for you. And he did for the music. He was always about the music. So when you become popular, that responsibility is not as much just you anymore. It's to them now, too. And it steps up the game in a whole different way. You really have to, you know, I always said that it takes a lot to get to that point. But once you get to that point, it takes even more to stay there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've got to work so hard.
Yeah.
And there's going to be 50 gazillion people in back of you waiting for you to fall out of line because they're waiting to get their chance in line too. So, you know, the whole responsibility thing, you know, certainly had something that played into it. But with the ego situation, you know, there's times when you have a tendency to lose a little track of your own self because you're working so hard on this other thing, and you have to step back and take a deep breath and just remember your beginnings and remember the real reason why you're there to begin with. But yeah, some ego things started to happen. It was a natural progression of the whole thing.
So as the tour went on, you know, it was kind of legendary that Prince and with the time kind of had it was a competitive kind of thing between the two of them on that tour. And then the time played behind the pink scrim and the cargo net. And there were even some shows, I remember, like, was it Radio City Music Hall, that at the time kind of got knocked off the bill, and it was just Prince and Vanity 6. What kind of dynamic did that kind of create in the organization, or did it? And then Rolling Stone, of course.
Yeah.
It's one thing at a time here.
Well, I think the doing the show with Prince, I think that started it with where they're like, okay, so he favors them over us, you know. But you know, we were girls, we were women. Come on. I think he wanted to show us up more. That's why he put us to open for him. The time had already had a bigger name than we did. So he just, you know, it wasn't like, you know, I favor them over you. It was just more or less, well, these are my projects, you know. I mean, this one needs more help than this. And it was basically like that. It wasn't supposed to be, oh, he likes them more than us. But that's all it was. But,
Sometimes I feel it might have been a little bit of a, you know, it was obvious that the time it was trying to gain a little independence and trying to find their way to do that. And Prince kind of stepped back a little bit and said, okay, we got to figure this out. You know, you got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. We got to figure this out as a whole. And, you know, okay, you're going on to ask about that and presumably the photo session that we did.
The Rolling Stone,
for the
Richard
Rolling Stone,
Avedon
Richard
session.
Avedon,
That was
yeah.
a big deal. And
Yeah.
the reason that I ask about it is because I've seen in other interviews, members, I think it might have been Dez, particularly said that some people had some issues because they thought that they should have been in his band should have been in Rolling Stone with him.
You're talking about the Revolution?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but instead it was Vanity and Vanity 6.
Well,
That's kind of hard to answer, but the thing is, you know, it was his choice.
Yeah.
You know, we have
bottom line,
yeah,
it was his choice.
his choice. We don't have a say there. You know, we're going to be with Prince and Rolling Stones. Okay, great.
Yeah.
But I think also
Yeah.
with some of the rhetoric that you could add to it, possibly is the fact that what's Prince's music all about?
Women.
Women,
Sex,
love,
Yep.
women.
Yeah, his love of
You know,
women.
and this was this part of his family.
Yeah.
You know, Vanity 6 was that part of his family of
Yeah.
three beautiful women, you know, in a musical situation as part of this musical family, musical group. And it could very well have felt very natural for him to have us there
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just going to blurt out. I have that Rolling Stone, the original.
Yep.
And so do I.
I still
too.
have it.
Yes.
And
Me
then I
too.
have my story, right, of the
Yeah.
Rolling Stone. So
Ooh.
before, I knew the music and I knew who you were. I bought the Rolling Stone. I used to subscribe, right, because I wanted to be in the industry. And I remember I bought it and I looked at it and then I just said, they look like me. I look like them. So then I laid it on the carpet and I kept walking around it. And I was getting these deja vus. It was so weird. And I opened up, the centerfold and the three of you. And I saw little Susan and I saw Vanity. I said, they look like me. I go, they've got the same skin color. Because I would lose jobs to the girl next door. My agent would say, oh, well, the blonde got the job. And then I looked at that and I said, no, they're like me. And every time I say this, I get all choked up. And I remember I got really emotional and I said, I want to be like them. I want to be special like them. I have to be like them. I want to be special like them because I'm like them.
And if they can do it, you can do it.
And if they can do it, I can do it. And I just walked around the magazine and I just stared at it and walked around and I was like in tears. It was the strangest thing. And then I was like, and I kept looking at Vanity's face, and the cover. So fast forward to 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago, I'm laying in my bed, and it took me 2 hours to pray. And I was praying because I could feel Prince, and I was feeling Denise. And I was looking through my phone, and all of their photos kept coming up, and the Rolling Stone cover. And I looked at this Rolling Stone cover, and it hit me like never before. And I saw her face when she's leaning, and him. And then I scrolled, and it was my photo with the two of you, and the magnitude of that importance has never hit me before like it did 2 nights ago. Wow. And it hit me hard to where I got up, and I just walked around. I said, praise you, Lord. Thank you so much. Praise you, Lord, for showing me the importance of this. I know it already for 40 years, but it was so different. And that whole evening, I kept feeling Prince.
And
I
we
was
were on our
really
way.
missing him. And I kept thinking of Denise, and I just said, I go, okay, I know you're here with me then. So the two of you are here with me. So I asked them to protect me and protect the two of you. And I said, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm really trying. I'm trying. And I said, thank you so much for your support and taking care of us. And we promise to continue to make you proud. That was just 2 nights ago.
Wow.
So that's Boy, I'd like had Tourette's right now, just like a Rolling Stone.
Wow.
So now I understand. I must have been feeling something. I must have been feeling.
This
you
was all
ladies-
coming together.
Yeah, something, and he was probably like,
Guess
"Go
what?
to bed, go to bed, go to bed, get some sleep."
I was so, when I found out that we were going to be doing this photo session for Rolling Stone, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. That's
And
big.
then when I found out it was going to be Richard Avedon,
Oh,
I just went, oh my gosh, we've been done, hit the big time.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't believe it. And I remember being in his studio
Yeah.
to do this. And
wow.
when we'd been doing the photo sessions with Al Beaulieu, he, the whole thing was Polaroids. They used Polaroids for testing the lighting
Yeah.
and everything before he actually started doing the shooting. Yeah. And I have some of those. I have some of those old Polaroids from the Vanity 6 sessions that we did.
Wow.
And I meant to send you some of those.
Oh, yeah. We'll edit them
Screenshots.
in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scan them and
All right.
send them.
Yep, I will do that. And when I get back to the East Coast.
Lucky viewers.
Yep. Yep.
But but when we're in the studio, Richard Avedon's studio,
Yeah.
his Polaroids were 8x10s.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And it would crack me up because an assistant would take the picture, would do the big Polaroid camera thing, would take the picture, and this big thing would come out, and Richard Avedon would come over and he'd rip the piece off of it, and he'd be looking at it, and he'd throw it on the floor.
Oh.
And I was going,
I want those.
and so I walked up to him and said, what's going to happen to all of these? He goes, oh, the bit's just going to go in the trash or something. Do you mind if I take a few of these? And he says, no, take whatever you want.
Good girl.
And so I just like, oh my God. So
Yeah.
where do I go first? And so I do have, I don't know, I have about half a dozen of them, I think.
That's amazing.
And the one of us that was in the centerfolds of the magazine that he wound up choosing, when he had us get into that pose, into that position, and, that Polaroid I have.
Oh.
And I made him sign it.
Oh.
I asked him.
Oh, wow.
I went up to him because it was Christmas of '82
Okay.
when we went to do that session.
Okay.
It was just before Christmas. And I asked her, I said, would you please sign this to me? I would be honored if you would autograph it. So not only did he sign it, but he just went around the edges of it. It's been out there in the media saying to Brenda with love, Richard Avedon, Christmas '82 on it. Wow. Yeah, and I just, and there was one picture of Prince. He had the purple coat on, and he's standing with his hands in front of him like this, and he's got the white lace gloves on. And I used to carry this big bag. It was kind of like a briefcase bag that I had, whatever I needed to bring with me. And I had a couple of magazines in there because you never know when you're going to be needing a little reading material. And these were still a little damp from the processing. And the couple of them I just grabbed and I shoved into the bag, and they went in between the pages of one of the magazines. And I didn't realize it till later. We get back to the hotel, and I was like, oh, I want to see these pictures again. Took out it was taking everything out of the bag, and realized, oh shit.
The print got on the picture.
And I was like, oh no, they were damp. What is this? And I take out the photographs, and there was one of them that was stuck to the page of the magazine. And I was saying, oh, please don't let that be the Prince picture, please. And it was.
Of course it was.
But I very carefully peeled it off, and some of the pieces of the page from the magazine stuck to it and stayed on it.
Yeah.
But it was from the lace glove. It almost made like a lace effect. And there was just one little tiny piece of it that was around his face somewhere, but pretty much his face was clear. And it was just, it was almost strategically placed.
Yeah.
And so that's framed in my bedroom. And I made
Treasure.
him sign that one. I did. I made him. I said, here, you gotta autograph this for me. And he looked at me. You're not serious. I said, yeah. And he tried to tell me, put it to memory, Brenda. I said, nope, you got to sign it. And he did. It's a bad Brenda Bennett.
Punk.
If you want official Apollonia merchandise, visit apolloniakotero.store and apolloniakotero.com.